Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Elite City Podcast. It is Dynasty time, and is the OGs yet again. Rick and I for the Dynasty Preview. What is up, sir?
Not much. How are you? How's it going?
It's going well. I'm very excited for the pay-per-view.
Finally, I wanted to ask, what is your excitement level going into Dynasty?
10 out of 10. It's through the roof.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I feel like, I don't know. My excitement level is based on the precedent AEW set for pay-per-views.
Okay.
Like, they're always good. Like, there's never been one that's bad. Every single one is. There's not very many matches on this show where I'm just like, oh my God, I have to see that.
Right.
But then I'm reminded of, like, what was it? All Out in, like, 2023? That was the one when it was, like, a week after All In. That was 2023, right?
Yeah.
That was the one when everyone thought, like, oh, what are they doing? They're gonna have another pay-per-view like a week after, but it ruled.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the show is gonna be good. It's just like if I looked at the card, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I have to see that show.
Right.
But because I know what AEW is capable of and what they're good at, and that their pay-per-views I don't think they've ever had a bad one. I'm excited for that. Like, they're always good.
Same here. They're always good. I'm super excited. This one is just the lead into it, and everything from the Dynamite after the last pay-per-view moving forward has just been a build for this, and I'm excited. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be great. Like, I have no doubt that it's gonna be a good show.
Oh yeah. Well, we have so far 9 matches announced. I'm sure they'll give us the, what do they call it, the 0 hour pre-show, and
they might have something in there.
Yeah, they might add a 10th match or so. So we're gonna go over what we know so far, and they're pretty interesting to say the least. I'm gonna go by the AEW website. Again, don't know if this is the card order. So their first match listed is the tag titles: Hurt Syndicate versus Brian Keith and Big Bill. This match is obviously, I think the Hurt Syndicate is going to win. But of all the matches on the card, this one has kind of like the least build, but I'm very interested in it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. I think I agree. I think the Hurt Syndicate almost certainly will win. I can't see them losing. The interest factor of this match comes from, like, the storyline surrounding it, because there's the stuff with MJF, there's the stuff with Jericho told them to prove themselves. Like, there's outside storylines that matter for this match, but the match itself is like, I hope it's not, like, this is no offense to any of the wrestlers because I like all of them, but I hope it's not like more than like 8 minutes, because I don't think it needs to be. Maybe 10 minutes. I don't think it needs, like, this doesn't need to be a 15-20 minute match to accomplish what it's going to accomplish, just because the intrigue is, like, not the match, it's everybody else.
Right. I after you said that, I was just looking at my notes. That would be a good match to put after the trios match.
Yeah.
Not trios. The 3-way match, excuse me. For the international title, because like that match is going to be bananas. And then if you just had a match that, like, pretty much we know who's going to win that. And like,
and it'll be slower, like, not slower bad, but
right.
Like, all of them wrestle slower than, Kenny Omega or Speedball.
Right.
But they're all still over. Like, people still care about them. So yeah, it'll be good.
And it's going to be,
I have to say, I like Big Bill and Brian Keith way better without Jericho. Jericho hasn't really been around them.
Same here. And I hate to say it because you hate to compare people, but this, if you take Jericho out of the equation, this tag team almost feels the same way as Big Bill and Starks. Like, really, are they going to mesh? And then they are, and people they're kind of getting behind them.
And I mean, Big Bill can kind of mesh with everyone, like if
True.
apparently, like
True.
and kind of anyone they've put him with, like either in WWE or in AEW, he's kind of just
Again, true.
He works well with all of
them. Yeah. So I agree with you. This match doesn't need to be any more than 10 minutes, and I almost said the word filler. That's a bad. I don't want to call this filler match. But compared to everything else on the card,
like the match is going to be bad, or I don't care
right?
about people in it. A filler match would be like when I don't care about anybody.
Exactly.
I do. It's just the match itself is not what I care about. I want to know what happens with like the stuff with MJF. I want to know what happens with Burden Tree. If they lose, does Jericho dump them? Like I want all that stuff matters, but that's not the match.
Yeah, I agree. So we're gonna move along. It's Owen Hart Foundation tournament season. We've announced 2 matches, one each, one men's and one from the women's brackets.
I just want to say I love that they're putting almost exclusively main eventers in these now.
I know it's
and like Kevin Knight obviously isn't, but he's filling in for Jay White, so that makes sense. But yeah, all the rest of it is almost exclusively like big name people.
Yeah, and it's it's a staple now. So it's obvious it's not necessarily a stepping stone, but it's a staple in the company. So yeah, I'm glad that it's being treated as a tradition and a big deal still. If that makes any sense.
Making it for the title shot at All In is
yes,
not a ton for it. Like it means not that it didn't mean anything before, but it means so much more now.
Exactly. And I mean, of course, they were a wrestling family, so that makes even more sense. You know what I mean? Like a world title shot. So, well, we have, as you said, Kevin Knight versus Will Ospreay. I obviously Will Ospreay wins. I think Will Ospreay wins the whole tournament personally.
Yeah, he might. He's up there for sure. He definitely wins this match. This match is going to be insane though.
Yeah. Oh, it's like
they may not touch the ground.
Yes. Kevin Knight is, I think I told you he was in Ring of Honor for a minute, and Ring of Honor is just, it's been a fun place to see like people for the first time. And now that it's kind of being more integrated into AEW and not forcefully integrated, like when he first bought it, like, hey, let's say Ring of Honor as much as possible.
Yeah,
and spend a bunch of money on it.
And they're not throwing in a whole bunch of like ROH title matches on every show.
Right.
But it is kind of developmental, right? It's guys you didn't know anything about who are now being brought in. Like I didn't know anything about Kevin Knight, but like till last week. But I like that now they have like a little video package they can play of Ring of Honor stuff before they show up on AEW. It is kind of like developmental and it works. Like I like it that way.
Yeah. And the same with Blake Christian's he's had 2 fantastic matches on Collision and Dynamite this week. And again, he's just, I don't want to say dominating a Ring of Honor, but he's having great matches. So again, I don't want to, I'm using air quotes when I say he's getting called up, but no, he's getting TV time.
Right.
And so yeah, I like that aspect that they're doing. And in a situation like this, it makes sense. Like you said, you could play a little video package. If you're like me, you have Honor Club and you already know who he is. But if you don't, the general fan will now know who he is. So
yeah, and I like it. I mean, just happened to work out that he wrestled Jay White on Collision. Right. And then they had Jay White being like, "Welcome to AEW," and like so then they could say like, "Oh, that's why he's in this spot." Like it actually makes sense.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure obviously they didn't plan that because they didn't plan on Jay White getting hurt. But it makes sense why he's in this match. So yeah, I like it.
Same. It also, just for the record, did you pick Ospreay?
Yeah.
Okay. And I also think this is funny. It's the women's Owen match. exclusively says non-title. Like there's never been an Owen match that was title. So
right.
Obviously.
But I like them putting it in there because I could see people being confused or upset. Like Tony Khan clearly knows the internet because he could see like, what do you mean it's not for the title?
Right.
So like,
and of course, you're not going to give her first loss in the tournament. I mean,
yeah, Mercedes is going to win.
Yeah, especially in the first round.
Yeah, she's not losing in the first round. And like a barely announced match. Like Julia Hart, I like Julia Hart.
Yeah.
But like they announced this match yesterday. So
literally
they're not going to have her go to a match where with no build and just lose immediately. No, that's not happening.
Yeah. Oh man, I love the Owens so much. That's going to be a fun match though.
For sure.
Anyways, TNT title. This one I have some words on this one.
All right.
They said they're barring everybody from ringside.
Yep.
And it says no time limit.
Yeah.
Okay. So
which before you start.
Okay.
I hated on Collision when they announced Tony Schiavone announced it like before Adam Cole came to the ring. They're like, they're gonna have a match in Dynasty with no time limit. And then Danny Garcia comes out and goes, I challenge you to a match in Dynasty with no time limit. I'm like, obviously they knew, but like don't put the graphic up until they say it on TV. Like,
exactly.
Come on, guys.
Exactly. They're 5 years old now. It's all.
I feel like at 5 years old, you should know not to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it doesn't take anything away from it, but it's weird.
I agree. I just don't understand why they didn't. I know they just had the big cage match last pay-per-view, but like no time limit. Like, what does that even mean? Like,
I guess TNT is always 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, but like, okay, so technically, like, they can wrestle forever? Like, I mean, like, like, make it like, I don't know, give me more than just like no time.
Yeah,
like,
maybe they could have done like a ladder match or something.
Yeah, like 2 out of 3 falls, a ladder match, like no time. What the hell does that mean? Like,
right? That means it's going to go 22 minutes
exactly, or an hour, which I really hope it doesn't.
I hope it's not an hour. No offense to either of these guys, but I hope it's not an hour.
That was going to be my big gripe. If they turn this into an Iron Man match and they disguise it by saying no time limit, I'll be highly upset. Because, like, not that there's anything wrong with an Iron Man match, but I'm going to be an old man here. As a fan, to sit down and watch two people wrestle for an hour, it's taxing. I know that sounds awful. I can't sit there and watch something for an hour, but
especially, and no offense to either of them, but especially with the style of matches that they wrestle, like this isn't going to be like a crazy high flying thing. This is going to be like mat wrestling, and
yes, like
it'll be slower. So yeah,
like
not that that's bad, but like for an hour, that's going to be hard. That was always my problem with everyone, and just let people get mad at me. My problem with the Bret Hart Shawn Michaels Iron Man match, why I didn't like it that much, is because Bret Hart doesn't wrestle a style that works over an hour. It works in like 25 minutes.
Yes, I agree.
And it works really well in 25 minutes, just like Danny Garcia. Like, they're great wrestlers, but you don't necessarily want to see an hour.
Right. And I'll be no complaints if it's 25, 30 minutes. I'm just saying, if it's a whole hour, that's for them and their style. I mean, I don't want to watch Olympic wrestling. Like, seriously. Right. Like,
I think it'll be like 25 minutes. They'll make a point of it going past 20 minutes so they can make that a thing.
Yeah. It's I think Adam Cole wins, by the way.
I do think Adam Cole wins because
damn it.
I was torn on this one.
Okay.
But I don't know. It seemed, why would they do this whole series of things if they're not going to have Adam Cole? If they're just going to have Danny Garcia win, they could have done that 2 weeks ago. Right.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like, but I don't know. Like, this could go either way and it would make sense. But I think it's Adam Cole. Also, like, Danny Garcia, like, he's been a good DNT champion, but like, these reigns don't need to be long. Like, DNT reigns don't have to necessarily be super long.
Agreed.
So
agreed. It's a great title. It's a good stepping stone title. But yeah, I agree. Like 90 days, 100 days.
Yeah.
It's a solid TNT run.
And I do hope that both these guys, I mean, maybe not now, because obviously one of them is going to have the TNT title. I would like to see both of these, Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom, and then Danny Garcia with 2.0. Like, there are trios titles, which we're reminded of because they're on this show.
Yes.
Why are these guys not fighting for the trios title? You know what I mean? Like, they're obvious trios. Like,
yeah.
So do that.
That's
the only reason I think Adam Cole might not win is if they want to have the Undisputed Kingdom go after the trios titles, but I don't know if they have the trio titles planned out past today.
The one thing I've noticed about the trios titles, they have been, I don't want to say exclusively, but recently they've been exclusively Collision.
Yeah, I mean, so is Adam Cole pretty much, and Danny Garcia. They've all been
also true. If you just keep the trios titles away from the tag titles, that's the only thing you need to do with them.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like they're keeping the TNT title. Obviously, it makes sense. Collision's on TNT, right?
TBS, I think.
Is it?
No, TBS is Dynamite.
No, it's on TBS is Dynamite. TNT.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes sense to have the TNT title on Collision because it's on TNT, but also it keeps it away from like the international title and any other titles, because you're right, they have to kind of be separated. Like if you're going to have a tag title match and a trio title match on the same like Dynamite, that's weird.
Yeah, exactly. My next question is, and this is like, me and you talked about this with Biddy and Jay also in our Discord chat. Now that we're in the era of streaming and no more ratings and cable, I'm not trying to be funny. Do the TV titles, like, do you make that a Max title eventually? Seriously.
I would only want them to see it a Max title and then have like Max Caster claim that it should be his.
That would be amazing.
His name.
Or like, or is it the streaming title? Like, seriously, what do they call it?
It's weird. I don't know. I want Max Caster to challenge Max MJF for
the Max title.
That doesn't exist. Incredible. Just like we should fight for a Max title, and MJF will be like, "What are you talking about? That's not even a thing."
I love that Max Caster has the Max logo on his tights now. It's genius.
Max Caster's been funny since they split up. Like, he has been.
Yes, and I don't know if, like, remember how we always complained he was like, I'm not he didn't go too far, but he brought it to the absolute limit.
And like, he was trying to be edgy for the sake of being edgy.
Yeah. Like, now, do you think that was seriously like gimmick?
It might have been. Yeah. I don't know. Like, trying to seem more annoying. I don't know.
Yeah. Because now, like, you just don't go from that to like overtly hilarious. You know what I mean? Like, now all his jokes hit the stupid, let's go, Max, you're the best wrestler alive. I laugh every time. It's amazing.
I kind of hope it catches on.
Same. Oh, I love it. Anyways, so you're an Adam Cole for the title too.
I'm gonna say it. But like, I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I'm gonna say Adam Cole.
I agree with you. This it could go either way. Speaking of the trios titles, I have a little guess here. Death Riders versus Rated FTR. I think FTR turns on Copeland.
Yeah, I think that might make sense. Because they're not going to split up,
right?
So then why else would they be doing this?
Exactly,
kind of thing, right? Yeah,
on a pay-per-view, like, this is a match like nobody cares about the trios titles. Let's be honest. Right. Seriously, like, the last time anybody cared about the trios titles when House of Black had them.
Yeah. And that was like 2 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, it was. Wow. So
I think that was like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
It was a while ago. Now that you say it, I mean, wow. Yeah, to have this on a pay-per-view, like, this is all storyline match here. Yeah, I think FTR, we're going to get heel FTR for a while. Oh, it's going to be fun. And unfortunately, I think the Death Riders retain.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. They lost them in August 2023, so almost 2 years ago.
Oh, man. Jeez.
Now to point out how weird the trios titles are. Do you remember who they lost them to? House of Black.
No, I don't. Or was
They
it the
claimed them Billy
Guns?
Gunn.
Yeah, was it the or not the? Yeah, okay.
And then they did the weird Bullet Club Gold Bang Bang Gang thing where they had the titles and then merged the titles and then vacated the titles.
I forgot about that.
And then Christian, Killswitch, and Nick Wayne. I forgot that they ever had them.
Oh, wow, I didn't even remember that.
I forgot that they ever had, and that they're the ones who lost them to the Death Riders, which I did not remember at all.
Wow, yeah. Speaking of, Killswitch / Luchasaurus was backstage 2 weeks ago.
Oh, nice. Good.
So
that's good to hear.
Yeah. From what I read, like he's still like he's healthy, but he's still recovering from the recovery.
Right. You don't know if he's necessarily wrestling, but he's like
right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like he's up and moving.
Well, speaking of him and speaking of Christian,
yes.
Does Cope split up and feud with FTR? Does Christian somehow get on his team?
Well, see, that's what I think they're eventually going to go to. Like he's going to be devastated. Like he realizes he can't trust anybody. Gets stabbed in the back. You know, Christian's group's falling apart in front of his eyes. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like they'll just have two downtrodden. You know.
Yeah. I mean, they do have to put them together because that's all what everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
But you're right. This means the Death Riders keep the titles, and then what? Like, do they just keep doing what they're doing? Because they have to lose them. Like,
yeah,
like they have to lose them. It's silly at this point.
Yeah, and I don't care who they put them on. Seriously, like put them on. Like I'm trying to think.
But there's a bunch of people who could be trios, right? That they could easily give the belt. Like why? Like honestly, why is it not Danny Garcia in 2.0 or the Undisputed Kingdom?
Like you said, or Undisputed Kingdom, or
anyone, right? Like
Hurt Syndicate would have made sense as good trios champs,
right? It's very weird. I don't know what happens with these belts. Before we move on, is Jericho Bandito? Is it actually a match yet?
I don't know.
Think it's on the AEW. I saw a thing Tony Khan was saying today that like, oh, we haven't, Jericho put out a challenge, but it hadn't been accepted yet. And we still have another show to go. So maybe on Collision, they'll book it as a match, or maybe like there's something up with Bandito, like he's hurt or Jericho's hurt. And because Jericho did challenge him.
I forgot about that.
It's like, I'm looking at the Wikipedia and it's on the Wikipedia page for Dynasty, but I know they haven't actually announced it as a match. So I don't know if they're waiting for Collision to announce it, or if something's up, like one of them's injured, and they're not going to do it. I don't know.
Same. Well, we'll just throw it out there.
Or maybe there's an RH pay-per-view coming up, isn't there? At some point,
May.
Oh, it's May. That's a while. Yeah. I mean, they could do it then. I don't know.
Yeah. If they throw it on here, I think Jericho loses. I don't think,
and I think he should too.
Totally. Especially now, like ROH is its own thing. It doesn't need. I don't know why they took it off.
And it's not getting a TV slot. Like it's not going to be on TV. Like if it hasn't yet, it's not going to.
Right. So you have the Death Riders also. I didn't write.
Yeah, I think I do. I think you're right. I think they're going to turn on Cope, but like I really don't want them to. I don't know. But I mean, the Death Rider stuff has been better since like, the last 2 months. It's been better. Like I love the stuff they did on Wednesday. That was fun. But I just don't want them holding the trios titles anymore because like they don't even have them. Like I haven't even like that they even carry them. Like
the last time one of them had him, it was just Pac. I think like he had his on.
The only way I know that, of course, Pac had his on because he's always dressed in like full.
True.
The only way I know that there's still a trios titles is like once in a while they have a match graphic like someone versus Wheeler Yuta and it says trios champion. I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say something. I can't remember. It was about. Oh well, if it comes
Jericho?
back. ROH? No, it was about like the trios titles. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. Oh well.
Talked over you again.
It's all good. International title. It's a 3-way dance. Omega versus Ricochet versus Speedball Mike Bailey, excuse me. This match is going to be another match where someone might not touch the ground.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. Have they really done anything? Maybe I've missed it. Have they built it up at all since like the second week?
No, not really.
Like I know Mike Bailey came out and talked to Kenny Omega and Ricochet, but that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, maybe they'll do something tomorrow.
Maybe they'll do something on Collision.
Yeah,
yeah, it'll be a fun match. Like they're all super great wrestlers. Like it'll be fun.
I think Kenny retains.
Yeah, I think Kenny retains, but I think Kenny retains. I think the end game is to have him face Okada like title versus title. I think that's where they're going to go. And if they merge a continental and an international title, they have to call it like intercontinental title, don't they? Like they can't.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, they'd have to call it that.
Continental.
Intercontinental.
Intercontinental. That would be fun.
I wonder if WWE owns that.
Well, New Japan has one, don't they? Or they did.
When it was called Intercontinental?
They had an Intercontinental title, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think you can't own the name Intercontinental. That just means...
Oh, that's true. That's true.
It's like you can't own world title.
Oh, also true. Never thought of that.
But yeah, I think Kenny wins. But I wouldn't be surprised if either of the other ones won.
Well, I take Speedball out of it totally. AEW doesn't like to bring people in and give them a title.
Right.
So, but I could see Ricochet winning.
Yeah.
But it's either Kenny or Ricochet. But
yeah, I think it'll be Kenny because he kind of just won it.
Oh, yeah, also true. This is his first pay-per-view with with it. So
yeah.
Well, we have the women's world title, Timeless Toni Storm versus Megan Bayne. This is another easy one.
I love that Megan Bayne came out with like giant wigs on her head.
Her headdresses are amazing. Also, tell me how you feel about this. And I know that Camille was away filming that Queen of the Ring movie.
Yeah.
Do you think that Megan Bayne came in and stole, like, not her thunder per se, but like she's basically Camille?
Yeah, I don't think stole in the sense that she purposely took it.
Right.
I feel like Tony Khan maybe had booking in mind for Camille, and then it would just like give it to Megan Bayne.
Yeah,
it does feel like that.
Because like I feel bad for Camille right now because like, oh, there's a perfect person that was already there for that role, but I mean, she was making a movie. It's not like she was just sitting on the sidelines. Like I'm not, not saying that, but like, I don't know what you do now when you have these two. When Camille does come back,
they're pretty similar.
Yeah,
wrestlers. Yeah.
I just hope someone doesn't get Wardload. That's all.
Yeah. I could see this. I think Tony wins. I really, but I could see it being Megan Bayne. I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah.
Wow.
I could see it being Megan Bayne because she's getting like this super push, and I could see her running over Tony and then Tony moving on to like face Mercedes or something. But I don't think they'll do that. I think Tony's kind of just like Kenny Omega. Like she just won it back.
So, yeah.
I think she'll keep it.
Same. Well, here's the question. Do you think the men or the women main event?
The men, it's Mox and Swerve. Like they'll, if there was a time for Tony to main event, it was last pay-per-view.
Well, yeah, totally.
Oh, okay. Here's my controversial question that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
The women have been getting more time since that pay-per-view, right? Since Revolution. Like they've had women's main events on Dynamite and Collision. They had, more than one women's match. Was that kind of like we know they should have main evented that pay-per-view?
Yes.
So we're going to give them more time now because they, like, not that they don't deserve it. It wasn't like
right.
They deserve it for sure. But was that kind of they kind of should have main evented that pay-per-view. So we're going to let Tony main event some other shows because she really should have main evented Revolution. Yeah,
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. They know. I mean, everybody knew. I mean, the end of that pay-per-view was, other than the Swerve jumping out of the crowd, If he didn't
Yeah.
do that, the end of that pay-per-view was ass.
Yeah, for sure. And you could tell they knew it too because they did the Cope Mox match again, kind of on Dynamite, and it was a better match. They were kind of just like do over, like where let's do it again. I do think that I don't know. I feel weird because I think I said it on the podcast. Like if that match wasn't going to main event, and I know there will be another women's match that will main event one day, right? But if that match wasn't going to be the main event of your pay-per-view with that storyline and the stipulation and the fact that Mox and Cope people weren't that into, like, what?
Oh, I agree.
What is right? So I don't know.
But before we move on, controversial questions being asked, so I'm gonna throw one your way. Has Britt Baker become the new Cody in AEW?
Like in a sense that no one really likes her.
And could care less if she comes back or is ever on TV again. Seriously. Yeah,
it's weird. Like something happened. I know she was obviously injured and she had like health issues. But like she went from she was there every week and she was still being a dentist and she was like working super hard and she was always there to her, I remember when it happened, she had a couple bad matches. I remember you saying, "Oh, should she tone down the dental office because she's overworked?" And she did. Like she did say she was going to tone down the dental office stuff and focus more on wrestling. And then like somehow she got worse after that. Like it was weird.
Well, her last match, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, was it in Pittsburgh? The last time they were in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think so.
So that was in October.
And even that was weird because she came out through the crowd.
Yes.
And like it wasn't a long match. It was weird. I remember it being weird. I don't remember even who she wrestled, but I remember it being weird.
The whole thing was weird. I mean, obviously it's her hometown. The crowd was rocking, but it was odd. I don't remember who she wrestled either.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Part of me feels bad for her because she was like such a big part of the division.
Yeah,
but like then it makes me think that like I don't know. Since all the Punk stuff turned out to be real, and I know I bring up CM Punk way too often, but since all that stuff all that stuff turned out to be real. And this stuff with Sammy and Andrade turned out to be real because Andrade is gone now, right? Like, I think there was something to the Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa stuff. Like, there was a problem with them.
Okay.
And I don't know what it was, but like they both kind of like Thunder Rosa's only started mentioning it now that like, oh, I never lost that belt, and obviously she was hurt as well. But they were like the faces of the company. And yes, they were gone for a year and a bunch of new people showed up who ran with the ball. So I get it. But they also both kind of got dropped, right? Like they didn't like, even Jamie Hayter came back from injury and she came back and was having matches all the time, right? Like she didn't jump right back into the title scene, but she is on TV regularly. Where like Thunder Rosa's in like the very low card, like she's low in the pecking order of.
Good call. Yeah.
Like when they mentioned her as former AEW Women's Champion, I was just like, oh yeah, she was the champion before Toni Storm, and like look at Toni Storm, and her, right, and obviously Toni's done an awesome job. So a lot of that's because of how good she is. But it does seem like that they both came back and kind of just got bumped. Maybe they just got passed by. Like maybe just the new women that have been hired since when they were at the top of the card, Britt Baker and Thunder, there weren't that many women in AEW, and now there's a bunch more, and they're all really good. So maybe they just got passed by just because everyone else was good. But it does seem kind of like there was something like they're not pushing them again because the last time they pushed them, they got in personal issues, so they don't want that to happen again. I don't know.
There's something because I was thinking of that, there's no mention of Britt. Like you said, even Rosa, like, yeah, she's lower card, but she's on TV.
She's there. Like she's on TV. Yeah.
Like Britt has been MIA for 6 months.
And I don't think it's like her and Adam Cole broke up. I don't think it's that because they're like, they seem like they're both professionals. I don't think Adam Cole's like, well, I won't be on the show that she's on. I don't think, or she's not saying she won't be on a show that I don't think that that's their problem.
Agreed.
I don't know them personally, obviously, but like I don't think that that's their problem. They both seem like they've been in wrestling for a long time, and they would be able to deal with that. So I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's something. Anyways, didn't
I
mean to
could
stir
see
the
her
pot.
leaving, and I don't know if WWE would even pick her up, other than not that she's a bad wrestler, but because she's not. But the only reason I could see WWE picking her up is because she knows people there, and they would think it was cool to hire Britt Baker, who was like a big name in AEW.
Yeah, I wonder if she would still allow to be a dentist though. Seriously.
Yeah, I don't know. But I could see them not picking her up because I mean she does have a history of injuries, and she does like she'd probably command still a high salary because she's a name, right? And WWE is pretty corporate these days. Like they'll shell
True.
out money for Cody or Punk, who are like well known
Right.
name. But when you're Ricky Starks or Ethan Page, like you're in NXT making NXT money. And I don't think she would necessarily sign for NXT money.
That's true too.
So
Interesting. I don't know. Anyways, main event time, world title, Mox versus Swerve. I'm sick of Mox as champion.
I want Swerve to win this so badly. I don't think he will.
I think he does. Oh, wow, it's the only one we picked differently. Awesome.
All right. Nice.
Yeah, I think Swerve wins.
I wanted to win. Like I really, really wanted to win.
The only reason I think he wins is because you have to think about like AEW likes they don't like to mess around with title changes too much.
Yeah.
Well, now we're getting into, if somebody doesn't win it now, that pretty much means they have to hold it until July, which
yeah, because like Double or Nothing's coming up, but they're not going to have someone win it in May and then lose it in July.
Exactly. So if somebody wins it now, it's early in the month. You have all of April, all of May, all of June, and then you could lose it mid-July and you had a 3-month run.
But would they do that to Swerve again where he wins it and only holds it for 3 months, which is what happened last time?
That's still 90 days. I mean,
yeah,
that'd be 180 days not saying that he doesn't deserve to be champion longer, but with him already having the belt, it would be like when Joe had the belt.
Yeah, I guess because he already had it too. It's not like it's his first reign.
Yeah, a good transition champion. It'll get him, it'll get them through it'll get them through summer.
Yeah. I mean, I only realized this recently. People pointed out now it's like Blood and Guts Stadium Stampede time coming up soon too, isn't it?
Yeah, it usually is. Yeah,
like May-ish when they do that stuff.
Oh wow. Well, we are
I mean, that's where the Death Riders could be, right? Like that would make perfect sense.
Good call. Good call.
And then it would make sense if Swerve had the title, but now the Death Riders are in a Blood and Guts match or a Stadium Stampede match, and then they don't need the belt for that.
Oh, then you could have the Death Riders, and then you could have FTR with the Death Riders. Then you put Cope and Christian with Swerve, Hangman. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm killing every. Yeah, it would be. Oh, yeah, that needs to happen.
You're right that I'm bored with Mox as champion. And not only am I bored with Mox, because he's been better. Like it has been better. Like the last
yeah.
It's just every other story is more interesting. Like, no offense, but like it's true.
Yeah. And my other thing, okay, we haven't seen the belt in, I don't know, 3-4 months now.
Yeah.
When the person wins it, if it's not a new belt, I'm gonna be pissed.
No, I don't think it will be. I think it'll be the same belt. I think what they're doing is they're hiding it for so long that like they want to make a moment when it comes out.
Well, that's true too.
Like, oh, you haven't seen the belt in so long. Remember the belt? This is why I think it might be All In, because maybe they want to have that moment at All In and not now. But like Mox can't hold it. Mox can't hold it to July. Like that's
too long.
It's too much at this point. And like it is true. Every other, like not only is every other storyline more interesting, but like every other male contender, possible contender for the belt is more interesting. Swerve, Hangman, Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega. Like they're all like, I'd rather see any of them.
Yeah.
With the belt. Like honestly. Like,
holy mackerel. Yeah, you're right.
it's like you can look at the AEW roster, which I'm going to do now,
Okay.
and I think you can find 10 people that I'd rather see with the title
Oh yeah,
than
100%.
Mox. Right. So I'm
100%.
looking, okay, Hangman for sure.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy, okay. Jay White.
Okay, yeah.
There you go. Like Brody King. Like I'd rather have Brody King.
Brody's going to get a title in 25.
Yeah, Darby whenever he comes back, I'd rather have him.
Gee,
Eddie
I
Kingston.
forgot about Darby.
Eddie whenever he's back. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like we've already talked about Swerve. We've talked about Kenny Omega. We've talked about like Okada. They could have Okada win it.
Oh yeah,
That would be more interesting. Like, let me see who else. MJF he hasn't been around the belt. He could have the belt. Christian Copeland. Like any of them. Like, yeah, there's Ricochet, Samoa Joe. Like,
any of them.
I'd rather see any of them. Will Ospreay. Like, I'd rather see any of them with the title. And that's not that I don't like Mox.
Exactly.
It's just, this storyline has been long and it's been dull. And I don't like it anymore.
Agreed. It's overstayed its welcome. It's just
and it weirdly pivoted, which I guess they had to pivot. It
did save itself. Yes,
it did save itself. I do think that this was planned to involve Shane McMahon somehow, and then that didn't work out.
I think you're correct.
Because when he came out initially being like, this isn't your company, we're not, you don't know what we're here for. I think it was meant to involve Shane McMahon. And then from the internet rumors, which I think I believe, are that Shane McMahon wanted like to buy part of AEW as part of his deal. And Tony Khan said no, which good idea.
Great idea. Not to interrupt you, but great idea for both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, to float it out there on Shane's part and then for Tony to stand his ground and not be, I don't want to say starstruck because Tony Khan deals with like professional athletes and everything, but like, I'm going to just be like, you know what, I'm going to give a McMahon a chance. You know what I mean? Like something.
Like, having like a McMahon in your non-WWE company would have been huge.
Yeah.
So I mean, if Shane wanted 10% of the company, I could see him being like, it's only 10%. Like I could see him, but like good on him for not doing it. And like, 100%. Yeah, I don't blame Shane for asking because you're Shane McMahon, right? Like,
yeah, like that's what you do. He was a businessman. It just happened to be in wrestling. Like,
but I do think that was the plan. And then it all kind of fell apart. And I think that's part of why the Bucks haven't been back because I think they were
my God. Yeah, that would hence the shredding of papers.
Yeah. And I think it all kind of just fell apart. And then there was like a 2-month period where they didn't know what they were doing. So that's why they just had Mox say random stuff that didn't really make any sense.
If that's what they did for just 2 months, I mean, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Like, and like they have kind of refocused it. And
I
feel like in the last 2 months, they're like, okay, he's not coming. We have to change it. Let's do something different. And now they're kind of just like a regular heel faction that their job is to make sure Moxley wins the belt, which like that makes sense. Like it's not interesting, but it makes sense.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to put it. It makes sense. It's just not interesting. That's the Death Riders, or that's the Mox Championship in his story.
It's been weird because like I think I talked about this before. Like Mox seems like he should be a guy who's interesting, right? Like I like him. And he's a good wrestler and he's interesting, but like, is it just that he only plays the same? He just plays the same tough guy all the time. I think that's my problem.
Yeah.
And I did read somewhere that he's funny, right? Like we've read his book. He's funny.
Yeah.
Like, we've heard him on things. He's a funny guy. I read somewhere once that Vince McMahon found out that he was funny and then made him a comedy guy in WWE because he was like, oh, he's funny. So that's all he's going to do is be funny because it's Vince McMahon who lost his mind. Right. So I get why when he first left WWE, he was like, well, I'm not gonna be funny at all. I'm gonna be super tough all the time because that's what I want to be. But like he's been in AEW long enough now that he should know that Tony Khan won't just make him a random comedy character.
Right. Yeah. Like if he tells a joke, like it's not gonna be like, hey,
Now your job is to go out and squirt ketchup at people, which he did in WWE.
Oh God.
He walked out with a hot dog stand and sprayed ketchup in people's faces. So I get why he was upset, but yeah, he could be. I've said before, why him or Okada? I mentioned it before. Like, why aren't they Kurt Angle?
Yeah.
Like Kurt Angle was funny, but because he said before, like I've heard an interview with him, he said like, oh, I could be funny and I could make a fool of myself because people knew I was an Olympic gold medalist and like I was a legitimate wrestler and I could go and have great matches. So I didn't have to be like, oh, if I look silly in this segment, it's gonna undercut my wrestling ability.
Right.
It didn't. Right. But like I don't think it would with Mox. Like I think everyone knows who Mox is and knows what Mox can do. Like Mick Foley. Like Mick Foley was funny, but no one doubted that he was also super tough.
True.
I don't know.
Wrestling's so weird.
It is. It's very weird. Such a weird sport or TV show.
Or whatever the hell you want to call it. Industry. Like they're like just some of the weirdest people. And they all have like the weirdest issues.
Yeah. I heard an interview with Swerve. I forget who it was with. It might have been the ones with that guy Vlad, who I don't know, but people seem to hate him. But anyway, the interview was fine. It was with Chris Van Vliet. I'm not sure, but it was an interview with Swerve that I watched like recently, and he was saying, talking about being in WWE and how there was a lot of people who like didn't want to lose, and he was like, oh, when I lost that match to Hangman, not to Hangman, I lost that match to Sting and Christian, and then remember it All In 2 years ago, he lost that match. He was like, oh, I lost that match. And I was finally losing the match because I was losing to Sting. But my goal after that was like, okay, the loss has to mean something, right? So like, that's when he went from, I lost that match. So I'm going to be more aggressive and I'm going to be more violent because I lost that match. So he's like, I didn't care about losing. I just cared about the next story coming out of it. And he was saying that like when he was in WWE, especially, there was a lot of guys who like just wouldn't lose. They're like, no, it hurts my character to lose. And he was like, but like, it's not real, right? Like it's not a sport. So like you can always make he was saying you can always make a storyline. Your storyline can be, I lost, but I learned from my loss and now I'm more tough, right? And there you go. Now you got a story and you run with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to win all the time. So like, not even that my problem with Mox is that he wins all the time, but he doesn't have to like be super tough guy all the time because he can just be himself and then go out and have a crazy match. And everyone's like, oh yeah, that guy's badass.
Yeah. See, I agree with you. Like everybody knows that he's married to Renee. He has a little girl at home. He's a girl dad. Like everybody knows that. So yeah, it should be able to bleed onto TV. Excuse the pun when I said bleed onto TV. Jeez. And talking about Mox too. Mox
will bleed on TV. He'll do it.
So yeah, like that needs to.
I hope they're going there because this week on Dynamite, when Swerve was threatening Mox backstage, he was talking to Renee and he was like, I'm gonna come at you. And Renee was kind of looked awkward about it, which was the correct awesome thing to do. So I'm hoping that maybe they take that somewhere. I don't know.
That's a good call. I agree. That I like.
Speaking of which, I just remembered that I have something to complain about for Dynamite.
Oh, go ahead.
How do you miss the live Willow putting Mox through a table?
That was bad production.
How do you not air that live? Like, I know they showed it later, but like, how do you zoom in on like Swerve's face and like, oh, by the way, we missed Willow putting the world champion through a table. Sorry, you just have to imagine it. Like, how do you? Yeah,
that was the producer not paying attention. It made me so mad.
And they knew it was going to happen. They set up 100%, right? Yeah. Like, that was off. That wasn't. They didn't call that in the middle of the match. Like that was obviously meant to be a big moment in the match.
Yeah,
that's the one thing WWE is good at. Like they'll never miss that.
Oh, right.
Like they would never miss. Like a couple weeks ago when Tony Storm was on the table, like and Excalibur was like, "Oh, she's taping up her hand. Why do you not have a shot of that? Because that would have been cool."
Yeah.
Right. Like WWE has a lot of problems, and their shows are boring to me. But they would never miss that. They would film it from 16 different angles and replay it 32 times. But they wouldn't miss it. Like,
very true.
Yeah, that really bugged me because that was a big moment. And how do you miss it?
Yeah, oh yeah, I agree. It bothered me too. Do you have any other final thoughts before we button up shop?
No, I've once again talked way too much.
You're
But yeah, this show is weird because like I'm excited but not excited. It's
I get that.
predictable but not predictable. Like we guessed the same people on almost every match except for the main event.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be shocked if half of those went the other way.
Exactly.
So, and I am interested in the storyline aspects of where this comes out from here.
I agree. Yeah, it seemed like the last pay-per-view kind of started to set all this up. Now this is kind of, act one, you want to say, of these new stories. So
yeah,
we'll see where we go. I'm excited. I cannot wait.
Yeah,
so
it'll be fun.
I cannot wait. It will be a great show as always.
And you just know Mox and Swerve are going to do something extra nuts because
100%. Especially
because first of all, this storyline's not super popular, and it's Mox and Swerve, right? Like think of the last time they were both in big matches. Mox got a spike in his back. Swerve got power bombed on a cinder block. Like,
yeah. I cannot wait. I have the hiccups. Excuse me.
They're gonna do something horrifying.
Yeah. And don't even know what it could be. Probably some sort of barbed wire, but I don't even care. Make sure to follow us at Elite City on all social media. Check out our YouTube. We are at Elite City Pod there too. Help our algorithm.
And we have something cool coming up, so subscribe.
Yes.
We have something cool coming up on YouTube. A couple things actually, I think. So
yes.
Subscribe there because they'll be on YouTube first. And yeah, like, comment, all that stuff.
Yeah, make sure you do that. And again, that all helps us out. So, and just a genuine thank you from everybody. We enjoy doing this, and you guys apparently enjoy listening. So, we will see you after Dynasty for our post, our review of the show. So, we will see you probably early next week. So, until then, have a nice weekend and enjoy Dynasty. And later on.